A very interesting perspective about exclusives. A lot of people say Xbox not having exclusives is them not competing. I've seen this even from podcasters, I've seen it on comments. In fact, I just saw it again recently. This audience member of mine, shout out to you, they said Xbox not having exclusives is Xbox not competing. I know everyone says, in quote, the future is multi platform, but neither Sony nor Nintendo believe or are acting on that. Okay, I have to say that statement has not considered a few things, and I'm going to try to show it in this video. Then they finished and said the truth is Microsoft either wants to crash the hardware to become a publisher or is so wildly out of touch to assume they can ride on Game Pass alone. Welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. We're going to take a very close look at this particular sentiment because I strongly believe that when we start to analyze and look very carefully at how exclusives have been turning out lately, it is not going to shock many of you. However, some of you might be pleasantly or unpleasantly surprised that a lot of games that were once formerly exclusive to PlayStation have been quietly making their way to Xbox. I have 3 on hand that I can give you. Number 1 being Death Stranding, which is a PlayStation game, but they sold its publishing rights back to Hideo Kojima, who was the director of the game, and then the game came to Xbox. Another one is Kenna Bridge of Spirits. This was another interesting one because when this game launched, a lot of people were asking, are we going to be able to play this game on Xbox? Well, apparently it was a time exclusive to the Epic Games Store. Then it went to Steam. There was no talk about Xbox, but apparently about a few months ago, it received an ESRB rating for Xbox. So its developers probably needed a little bit of money. Then we found out that another PlayStation exclusive, pretty much, which was the Final Fantasy games, had its directors, both Yoshi P, the director of Final Fantasy 16, and the Final Fantasy 17 directors, both talking about possibly bringing their PlayStation third-party exclusives to Xbox. Then we had another one, Ilphonic, who was the developer for Predator Hunting Grounds, the game that was published by PlayStation, took over the publishing rights. It was interesting. It says Ilphonic will take over publishing rights for, Predator Hunting Grounds from Sony Interactive Entertainment and release the asymmetrical shooter for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series in late 2024, alongside updates to the existing PlayStation 4, PC, Steam Epic versions, the developer announced. What could be going on? I'm not done yet. Koei Tecmo, who's made some exclusives for PlayStation, wants to now focus on self-publishing and in-house development and being more consistent in releases of major titles. Independent development is akin to the Crimson Desert developer who turned down, apparently according to reports, PlayStation from an exclusivity deal of some kind. Actually, it was not just necessarily a random generic exclusivity deal. It was an exclusivity deal that was supposed to block the game from going to Xbox. Do you know how damning that story is for PlayStation and everybody who has claimed that somewhere, somehow, PlayStation cares about this exclusivity thing? It's because now what that means is PlayStation feels threatened by Xbox. If they didn't feel threatened, they would not bother blocking a game that was already going to be coming to their platform from going to other platforms. Or, at best, there's no best case scenario, but let me just throw one out there. PlayStation is anti-competitive, and they're falling into the trap of my baker and sandwich shop analogy. And I have to tell you guys, I got to tell you, this analogy was one that it was kind of big brain. I thought about it for a minute, okay? Here's the Gotham Knights footage and just, kick back and listen. You got 2 sandwich shops. Both of them buy bread from the same baker. Some people like one sandwich shop, the other people like the other sandwich shop. But one sandwich shop who is more, in terms of sandwich sales, they sell more sandwiches, right? The other sandwich shop, they have some really cool perks that they give their customers. So when they go out there, they enjoy some other stuff. They also get sandwiches as well. But one day, the more popular sandwich shop decides that they're going to go to the baker and say, hey, you give that guy, bread, right? You supply bread to that guy. The baker says yes. And they say, how about we pay you? How much bread do you give them? We give them about this much bread. How about we pay you that amount in terms of bread so that you don't give bread to them for, say, 2 days a week? Well, the baker is someone of maybe ill repute, maybe an opportunist, maybe somebody who probably needs a leg up in their finances. I don't know. I'm not going to judge their character. I'm just saying an example. And they decide to go ahead and take the deal from the more popular baker, the more popular sandwich shop. So this now affects the other sandwich shop where they can't sell sandwiches for 2 days a week because their ability to receive bread and from the bread supply has basically been cut by the other sandwich shop. This is basically PlayStation and Xbox in terms of third-party exclusivity. And for somebody to say that exclusivity is basically based on competition, to me, I think is quite funny from the third-person perspective or the third-party perspective. Now, when it comes to first party, okay, we can say, granted, exclusives can be somewhat important, of which we see that, if you have a platform, people will come to your platform if you have games. That's the main thing. Now, if your exclusive games appeal to them, then they will come and then they will stay on your platform. However, what's really interesting, though, ladies and gentlemen, is that exclusivity has kind of been eroded very heavily on even one of the big exclusivity players, and that's PlayStation themselves, seeing how their games are no longer maintaining the same level of exclusivity that Nintendo has enjoyed. Most of you want to tether Sony with Nintendo. You can't. You try, you can't. You assume, but you don't, because reality doesn't care about your assumptions, your presumptions, or your efforts to try to do that. I've been one of the biggest advocates of PlayStation bringing its games to PC, not because I care for the PlayStation brand to fail or whatever, but so that Xbox was not running free on the PC platform. That's why I was advocating for it. You do not want one person to just run free, regardless of whether they're customer friendly or pro-consumer. Watch them like a hawk. Xbox can go all snake on you and bite you if you don't pay attention. But PlayStation being on PC is here to temper them down. This is why I've always wanted for this to be a thing, and I'm happy that it's a thing. If you were attached to the console for these exclusives and you're disappointed, the market has spoken. I'm just the messenger. And so this talk about exclusivity being the piece of competition, well, I guess only Nintendo qualifies if we wanted to be actually very purist about it. And I know someone's going to come and give me 50 caveats, but PC is a neutral platform. I don't care. If PC was that much of a neutral platform, why is Xbox trying to be a PC? Have you seen the PS5 Pro? It's literally copying the entire new generation of hardware with upscaling and all of the above, giving varied options to its users, trying to promise them a PC-like experience. But still, I don't care because the game has now left their shores and is no longer exclusive like Nintendo would make them. So I want to say this. This talk about Microsoft wants to crash hardware and become a publisher is so wildly, according to this person, out of touch. Because both of them, PlayStation and Xbox, or Microsoft and Sony, are both third-party publishers. There's nothing here to actually discuss or talk about. In fact, let me give you guys something crazy. Do you know, and this is a quiz for those of you if you followed this, enough. Do you know though that PlayStation used to call its PC publishing arm PlayStation PC LLC? Do you know that? When you opened a PlayStation game on the Steam store, it used to say, underneath it will say PlayStation PC LLC. I have YouTube videos where I was covering this stuff and following it very closely. You'll be able to see that. I'll have to go back months. And then they eventually changed the name to PlayStation Publishing LLC. When they changed the name, I thought, it's because they're trying to hide it. They don't want PlayStation fans to know. Blah, 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 blah. You know how sometimes we make conjecture. But that was not necessarily the case. They changed it because they wanted to go to the Switch and publish their games as well. And so they decided to go ahead and change it to PlayStation Publishing LLC. When I finally figured this out was when they were publishing Lego Horizon Adventures on the Nintendo Switch. And when you look at the information on the information page, the publisher is PlayStation Publishing. Interesting. So finally, they've broken into the Switch market themselves. I knew you were probably going to say, oh, well, Xbox publishes on other consoles. Yeah. Did y'all like that segue? I'm being silly, man. I got to go to bed. Thanks for watching the videos, guys. I appreciate all the interaction. Thanks so much. Peace out.